Welcome back to Tokyo on Fire. You know, the Japanese Communist Party was a party that was authorized by General MacArthur at the end of the war when freedom of speech and the political process was reignited under the occupation. Recently, the Japan Communist Party has come under some scrutiny, probably as a part of a political move by the Liberal Democratic Party, since they're beginning to form more of a power base than they might like. Michael Chuchek, isn't this an interesting mix? The Japan Communist Party is identified as a violent group now.
That was something that I guess that we may have read as a single line in a history book somewhere along the line, but forgot.
Right.
But on this week, we suddenly had it thrust back into our faces. Now, you have to know that the Communist Party in Japan was founded in 1922 and was immediately banned. It was illegal. And it remained illegal, and its leaders, whenever they were captured by the special police forces or the regular police forces, were put in prison, and they were all stayed in prison until 1945.
Right, because one of the precepts of the party was, we want to overthrow the political process and we want to dominate.
And therefore, they were threatening the person of the emperor, and at that point, they were a subversive group that had to be suppressed under the law, especially the Peace Preservation Law of 1925, which made it absolutely illegal to even believe that the government should be overthrown,
right.
The emperor, that anything should happen to the emperor. Ironically, the persons who legalized the Communist Party were the Americans who arrived in the occupation and drafted a constitution, one of the articles of which gives you the right of total freedom of association, which means you can join any party you want, which meant that the communists were now entirely okay.
Also, at that political time, it was really, the communists were like the evil monsters. We don't want to have anything to do with them.
It is a very strange little thing that happened, and of course, all of this wonderful warmth ended the moment North Korea invaded South Korea in 1950.
Everything changed.
Everything changed at that point. But in the 1950s, the Communist Party was registered by the National Police Agency, which no longer had the United States looking over its shoulder since the occupation ended in 1952, as a violent group. That meant that the National Police Agency had not only a right to, but a duty to keep them under surveillance. And that was done way back when, 50 years ago, 60 years ago. And we'd forgotten all about it. Of course, the Communist Party members know, because police are constantly checking on them.
Right.
And they're always around. And when there's a Communist Party rally, some kind of peace rally, there is an inordinate number of policemen and frequently taking video and all that. They can go on and on for hours about that, but it's really indicative of the LDP's and Mr. Abe's focus on this one election that we're having, which is the Hokkaido District 5 election, that suddenly we're here talking about it today. And that's because this legislator...
Yes, Miss Suzuki, the daughter of Munio Suzuki, up in Hokkaido, she was, I guess, prompted to make a comment during Diet hearings, and she said that...
Is it not true that, Mr. Prime Minister, that the communists are actually listed as a violent group?
Why would somebody even do this? I mean, it was a softball lob for him to say in public, yes, they are, a violent group and we need to watch out for them.
Yeah, but that's exactly what they want to do, because they want to emphasize that the opposition parties, which are now cooperating
They're
with
starting to build up a lot of steam.
With the Communist Party, and the Communist Party is going to support whoever is running against the LDP candidate in Hokkaido District 5, that they're not going to run their own candidate, that you should know who these people are, wow, what a throwback.
Let's talk just a little bit about the Japan Communist Party. When I talk to people about politics in Japan, and they learn, maybe for the first time, that the Communist Party is an established party here, it represents a certain cadre of intellectuals. It has a member running for election in almost every election district. And the Communist Party is not quite the Communist Party that you might think of when you think of North Korea or China or or some of these other communist parties. It really is something substantially different.
In terms of its behavior, it's basically a social democratic party. And yes, it has all these wonderful archaic Soviet-sounding position names in the party. The leadership is mostly intellectuals, but the membership is either the teachers' union,
right, very heavy into education,
and other labor unions. So it is a labor party, basically,
right,
of Japan. It's one of the more radical ones, and one that is strongly pacifist. It simply does not accept the existence of the SDF, the self-defense forces. It doesn't accept the United States-Japan security arrangements. It's against these things. It thinks that Japan's path is pure pacifism, purely outside of world military politics.
Its main source of income
is its newspaper.
Yes.
It's the only party that doesn't take public funding. And they like to facetiously submit, and now because they have 21 members in the House of Reps, they can submit bills. They did really well in the last House of Reps election, getting their first district representative for the first time since 1993. They've got 21 members, and they submit bills all the time saying, let's end public funding of political parties, which all the micro parties start to suddenly say, oh, don't take away our stuff.
Yes.
That's what we live for.
But I mean, honestly, there are some things to admire about the Japan Communist Party. I mean, they do represent their constituency, and their constituency is characterized by, rather high levels of education. They're dispersed throughout the entire intelligentsia and in the universities. They're teaching the children.
Right, and they are the teachers' union, and of course that has set up a huge fight constantly with the conservative bureaucracy of the Ministry of Education. That war has been going on for 50 years, and it's really brutal. And whenever the teachers have their national convention, the black sound trucks are always from the far right are always passing around and blaring away, you traitors, you terrible perverter of children's minds. It's really hardcore, tough politics, and yet they're really pacifists, which brings the whole concept
of the violent group. I mean, it almost sounds like Boryokudan, the gangsters.
Yeah, you think that these were people, with scars on their faces, and instead it's women with big glasses holding babies. It's not the Communist Party of thugs.
Okay, so why would the LDP want to do this? I mean, there's an election going on in Hokkaido. Munio Suzuki's daughter is kind of lobbying this up to the prime minister. I think the LDP is afraid of the Japan Communist Party actually making a difference in Hokkaido 5.
And making a difference by stepping back and saying, we're not going to put a candidate of our own out there. We're going to vote for the progressive candidate, whomever that may be. We will be cooperative. That has always been a nightmare for the LDP, that the communists would finally wake up from their decades of slumber and their decades of throwing roadblocks in the way of progressive parties, that they would suddenly say, if you vote for us in this district, we'll vote for you in that district, has always been the nightmare, and it's coming true.
It's never happened. And it tells you, at least it signals to you, how important it is for the LDP to smash this, to kind of kill this initiative that has been gained, because they don't want to have that kind of coalition. It's not even a coalition. It's just it's a sharing of interests among the opposition parties to perhaps not really topple the power of the LDP, but to give them a punch in the nose and to
bloody their nose and then to make
power.
them think about what they've been doing.
Right.
And gosh darn it, that looks like what's happening. And so what does the LDP do? Of course, under the table, it tries to portray the Japan Communist Party as basically a terrorist group, based on declarations that it made in 51 or 52. It was a different time.
Sure.
It was, really a different time. I wasn't, I wasn't here. A lot of people who are listening weren't around when these declarations were made. It's way, way back. It's back before even the founding of the LDP. this kind of sudden shift to demonizing the JCP, the Japan Communist Party. I mean, I knew they would always do it about the teachers' union, but to go all the way back to the police surveillance rules, that's pretty amazing.
Okay. Well, this is just one example to show you, to reveal to you how important this next election coming up in July is going to be. The LDP is gambling a lot. They're putting a lot into this. Members of the opposition party are thinking about where they want to be. Please stay tuned. A lot of this stuff is happening. It's very important to keep an eye on it. We'll be watching it for you.